Here we are again at After Today, the Prophecy of Tomorrow. This is going to be part 4 of the series about the Antichrist. Who is he? What should we look for? How will we know he's here? We've already talked about his political system. We started to jump into his religious system. That's where we're going to continue right now, and we're going to go into the rest of his religious system and then into his economic system. So let's pick up in verse 14 of chapter 13 of the book of Revelation. This is one chapter again dedicated to this individual. Verse 14 says, "And deceiveth them that dwell upon the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast." So this false prophet has power to do miracles in his close proximity to the beast. So that's some limiting power of his. He sort of has to be in the area that he's in. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound with a sword and did live. Now, back in the Old Testament, in Daniel's day, Daniel's was a very famous prophet. He had the approval of the king, but all the other false prophets didn't like him. So they tried to trick the king into making a rule so they could put Daniel, throw him under the bus. So they said, "O king, let's make a rule that says whenever we put this music on, people have to face this statue of you," which they built a 6-meter statue. They have to fall down and worship the statue. So when people were walking through the streets, they'd put the music on, and the people would have to fall down and worship the statue while that music was playing. Well, Daniel wouldn't fall down. So, they come and they saw that and they accused Daniel before the king, saying, "Look, Daniel won't fall down. Everybody else does, but he won't. When he hears the music, he just keeps going." So the king, because he made a decree that whoever wouldn't fall down had to be punished, that's when they threw Daniel into the lion's den. Everyone knows that story. So in the Old Testament, had to be music played for this idol. In the New Testament, that idol will speak for itself. And we see that it says that he shall make an image to the beast. In verse 15 it says that he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So in the Old Testament, where the image was spoken for by music, this image shall speak for itself. I think this is obviously, it says he gave life to the image of the beast. Life is animation. I think we see with artificial intelligence today and the robots they're making, we see an incredible amount of self-animated life. For instance, there's a robot called Sophie. Look up all the information you can about Sophie the robot, and you'll see she actually was on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon once, and they had an interview back and forth, and they sang a song together, not prompted by anything. And so it's incredible. You'd think it was a real person. So that technology is incredibly advanced, and I think that this is part of this. Computers and people linking together. I mean, the neural net of computers linking to the brain is something that a lot of the technology folks want to do today. So there's even, they've made a chip that you can put in your hand that we'll talk about in a few minutes that sort of goes in with this scenario as well. Verse 16, it says, "He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." Now this word mark here is taken from the Greek charagma or charasso, which means to cut to a point and then to inscribe, or to cut into the skin and inscribe with data. This is a really good example of what a computer chip might be. I mean, computer chips put in pets, that happens all over the world. My pet has a computer chip in them. It's in case the pet gets lost, they can just scan the pet, take the information off the chip, know who the owner is, know all the medical information, etc. Well, this is going to be done with people eventually. The technology's here, and they've been planning on it for decades. As a matter of fact, there's You know, some people who are under the behind the scenes in some of the New World Order stuff think that this is going to happen by 2030. They want everybody on the planet to have a chip. So this technology is already here, you know, but it was predicted, you know, decades ago. Now the chip is only about the size of a grain of rice, and you put it in your hand. In fact, some companies in the United States have already started doing this, where they put a chip in their hand and they just wave it in front of the scanner for their job so they can get in the building. So this is already happening in humans now. There's stations that you can drive past that will scan the chip and know that you've gone through. You know, the Antichrist has to have all-knowing power. The only way he can do that is to have some system where he can track everybody. I mean, China has a system right now that has facial recognition. If you walk down the street, one of their cameras picks you up. They know everything about you, where you live, what you do, if you're bad or good. As a matter of fact, they have some laws over there that if you're bad, it can affect your credit report. It's incredible what the technology is doing right now. Look at verse 17. It says that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So if you don't have this chip at some point, you can't go into the store and purchase anything. All your financial information will be tied to the chip. You know, you can't do anything without it. It's kind of like a social security number or a card or something. So everything that you won't be recognized if you don't get this chip. A lot of people said, well, that's the mark of the beast, and that was the vaccine that came out. Well, no, the vaccine was not the mark of the beast, because you're going to have to knowingly make your commitment to him when you accept this chip. And the vaccine is just a precursor to that, just to prove that it can be done, not that that's it. Verse 18 says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So that is telling us that, you know, there's a way to figure out who he is, you know, and by his name. And, you know, so when he's here, and this is one of the reasons I think he's going to be assassinated, someone's going to figure out who he is, and they're going to try to take him out. And they'll be successful, but he's just going to come back to life. But at that point, he's going to have all power over the entire world, and he will be able to do what he wants. So we've painted a pretty clear picture through Scripture of what this guy looks like, what he's going to come up with, how he's going to come up to power, and you know, what's going to happen once he gets that power. So you know, people that are here on the earth during his reign can figure out who he is. So appreciate you joining us during the 4-part series on the Antichrist. And again, thank you for watching After Today, the Prophecy of Tomorrow.